is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show. Another year back in the seat. Back with DC Hendricks producing, at least for a first couple weeks. And hopefully we're playing that long. But week one starting tomorrow, kicking off all around the state of Indiana, while a couple dozen states have moved high school football to the spring. Others have delayed it. Indiana going forward. Starting the season on time. Have some teams that are sitting out the season or have canceled games. But we're mostly intact here in Northeast Indiana. We've had a couple teams have to change some things around due to the scheduling circumstances, but it's a full slate of games tomorrow night throughout the area. SAC, NE8, ACAC, NECC. Plenty of football. Some places you'll be able to go watch tomorrow night. Some places you will not. Sure, there'll be plenty of people watching live streams tomorrow evening, but we're going to catch you up on everything you need to know heading into tomorrow night this evening. We'll be joined by a trio of coaches tonight over the next hour. We're here till 7 o'clock. Coach Brett Fox, Columbia City Eagles, will join us at 6:15. And it's a big night tomorrow night for Columbia City at their new digs at the new high school, just a couple miles away from the old field and the old school. First day of school was today at the new Columbia City High School. But Brett Fox and the Eagles hosting Cherubusco, a school that's barely 20 minutes away in Whitley County, yet they have not played in the modern era. You can go back into the early 1900s where you may find a matchup between what became Columbia City and what became Cherubusco, but Cherubusco versus Columbia City have never played. And that's crazy considering they're only 20 minutes away. So the first time the Whitley County schools collide tomorrow. Limited fans out at Columbia City tomorrow, so there will be at least some fan presence. But we know SAC, no fans first 2 weeks. Limited fans weeks 3 and 4. And by now, if you're a football fan and you know if you were trying to go out to a game on Friday nights, you know the rule in your community. Because DC, personally, I couldn't keep track of everybody's rules in all the counties. So if you're trying to go to a game, you know if you can or not.
I wasn't either. So I was hoping that you came in really rather prepared.
Not at all.
You got a nice stack of papers over there, so you look really prepared.
No, this is all scrap paper.
Oh,
see,
okay.
if you hold stuff, it makes people think you're intelligent. Kind of like if you hold like a pencil or a pen. It makes people think you're intelligent. A highlighter is like the go-to. So I'm going to grab a yellow highlighter right here. That's what David Pollock does on game day. It adds like 24% of credibility to you. And Lord knows I need it. Pretty official. Yeah, but we're going to talk to Brett Fox about that big game coming up tomorrow night. That is also where Brett Rump will be for the 1380 The Fan Game of the Week tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And then following that, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear, I was going to say DC Hendricks, but it's actually Caleb Hatch on the Scoreboard Show.
That's right.
At the Columbia City Pizza Hut, right? Live from the Columbia City Pizza Hut. So a big night tomorrow night here on these very airwaves and throughout the area. Bottom of the hour, Jason Garrett, Bishop Dwenger Saints will join us. We'll talk about his team and the squad that I think most people are pointing to as the favorite in the SAC. You look on both sides of the football, a lot of production coming back, particularly in the trenches. Skill positions are pretty loaded. Brendan Lytle back for seemingly his 7th year of high school football at quarterback. You mentioned Devin Tippmann and Louis Tippmann and KJ Tippmann. Just insert name here, Tippmann, and they're loaded. Vinny Fiacable, the Indiana University recruit, also anchoring that front line. So
that'd be a fun game. A gaming show to find out which Tippmann is on this Dwenger. To just guess a random first name.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was going to say, is there a Joe Tippmann? But there was a Joe Tippmann. So you could absolutely play that game, and you can also play the related to Tippmann game. So they may not have the last name Tippmann, but probably another half of the team is related.
Copyright.
They'll tell you somebody's name, and then they'll say they're a Tippmann. That's pretty much how it goes out of Bishop Dwenger. Such and such, he or she is a tipman. Okay, totally understand. So we'll talk to Coach Jason Garrett bottom of the hour. And then 6:45, Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires. South Adams starts the season against Winchester tomorrow evening. We'll talk about South Adams and their expectations this year. They swept through the regular season a year ago. Everybody thought they were on the fast track to the 1A state championship game. What happens in the regional round? Adams Central, the young upstart Adams Central team that everybody thought was rebuilding last year, went out and won 13 games, including beating South Adams in the regional after losing to the Starfires by 28 in the regular season. It's crazy. And we're going to talk to Grant Moser about how his team really prepared for this year with the motivation from that game. And the colossal negative that it was last fall, is it now a positive heading into 2020? But so much to talk about. Week one, it's something, DC, where I think we're just going to have to take it a week at a time. And we hope, we're going to get through week one. Let's hope we get through week two and on and on. But you look at the SAC in particular, the schedule for tomorrow night: Carroll at Bishop Luers, Concordia at Southside, Northside at Snyder at Spoiler Stadium at Northrop at Homestead, Wayne, and Bishop Dwenger. So in terms of the contenders in the SAC, I think Bishop Dwenger's at number one right now. I'm throwing Homestead, the defending champions, in there. I think you have to consider Carroll as a team that could get to the top with what they have coming back. And then, of course, the Snyder Panthers, who nobody is really talking about in terms of their potential this year, largely because they graduated about 35 kids last year. So when you look at their roster, there's not a lot of familiar names. But Snyder is Snyder. They will reload. They will be fine. So I expect Snyder to be in that conversation as well, DC. But is there anything out there, DC, that you are kind of looking at, kind of excited for? Maybe not just week one, but also finally getting the season started.
I'm sure you know where I'm going. And I think you kind of threw that softball out there. The one team I'm watching the SAC this year, yes, everyone's already talking about Dwenger. Everyone's talking about Carroll, Homestead, as usual. But the team I want to focus on, Northside Legends.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm going.
Buying the hype?
I'm buying the hype. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're going to win the SAC, but I mean, they've done nothing but improve since Brevard has taken over.
No doubt.
Every single year, significant improvement. What I seen last year, not to mention Deuce Taylor didn't even play the whole year.
Right.
Imagine a full season of Deuce Taylor like hopefully we'll get this year. And if we do, watch out for those Northside Legends. He has a lot to prove. Chip on his shoulder. He's the leader of that team. There's just a lot of other guys, a lot of returning guys. I mean, the guys that were there, and Brevard said this finally feels like his team.
Sure.
You know, it feels like a lot of the guys when he took over are now seniors, juniors. So I'm expecting a huge year. This is my team to watch. Every year there's a new team that I will pick to watch in the SAC. And this year for me, it's the Northside Legends.
And they come out week one and can prove that they belong in the conversation taking on Snyder. Yeah, they may have a lot of unfamiliar players out on the field tomorrow night, but it's still the Snyder Panthers. And DC, you mentioned it with Northside. This is Mike Brevard's fourth year, so these seniors were freshmen when he came in. And Deuce Taylor is a phenomenal quarterback, can make all the plays. But the key for Northside this season is going to be that offensive line play and a little bit on the defensive front as well. If they can't protect Deuce Taylor and allow him to make plays in the pocket and flush outside and create on his own, then it doesn't matter what kind of skill position players they have or how good Deuce Taylor is. Part of the impressiveness of Deuce last year was the fact that he could escape pressure, but he was doing that almost every single play. Mm-hmm. And he was doing more of that last Friday against Bishop Luers in the scrimmage. Don't like to take out too many things out of the scrimmage, but that's one thing that stood out to me is Deuce is still running all over the place trying to escape pressure. So Northside needs to figure out a way how to protect him. But I do think Northside is a team to watch in the SAC. They improved vastly from a year ago, even over the course of the season. Got shut out week 2 against Bishop Dwenger, 36-0, and then came back and played the Saints tough in the sectional in a 13-point loss. But the problem for North is, once again, they start out with Snyder, Dwenger, Carroll.
Right out of the gate.
All three teams shut them out last year, and Coach Mike Brevard said, we lost about 12 guys over the course of those 3 weeks because the kids just gave up. All right, Northside's going to stink again. And then they ended up, 4 wins last year. So they rebounded pretty well, but that's a tough 3 games out of the gate. Could arguably be the top 3 teams in the SAC. You never know. So I think another team to watch is Concordia. And I know that Concordia fans always enter the season thinking maybe we can win the SAC. They've never won the conference. Let me tell you something about Concordia. Even in 2016, when they were so good and rolled to the state championship, they lost twice in the regular season to Homestead and then got housed by 20 at Snyder. And that was arguably the best Concordia football team in the program's history. So you are going to have to be very, 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 very good if you're Concordia to win an SAC championship.
Well, good thing for them. I know they're going to be strong defensively.
Yes.
I know they got 3 guys. I know 2 guys, Sam Hudson and Cam Johnson, are back, as veterans on that team. And that's going to be their strong point, is their defense. And that's obviously going to go a long way to compete in SAC games.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who saw them last week. I think they scrimmaged East Noble. And I was told their defense is phenomenal, incredible. Like if they can avoid turnovers offensively and make some plays, they can compete for a 3A state championship. So a lot to like there. DC, I think in terms of top to bottom competition wise, I think the Northeast State has it all. You look at East Noble coming back, obviously got down to the 4A state championship game a year ago. Bailey Parker is gone, but there's still plenty of talent coming back. But I think Leo takes a step up. They were pretty young last year, and they were none too shabby last year. Their only 2 losses came to East Noble, once in the regular season, one in the sectional championship game. I think New Haven jumps up there. Jakar Williams, the junior quarterback, is ready to break out. You put Columbia City in that discussion. You had DeKalb that won 8 games a year ago. You look at Norwell bringing back everything that they bring back. I feel they could be this year's DeKalb and making a jump. Huntington North should be better in their second year under Coach Prescott, who's turned programs around previous. I think the only one you're looking at as maybe will struggle is Belmont, who will not play their first 2 games of the season because of COVID-related issues in Decatur and Adams County. Who knows if and when Belmont even gets on the field at this point. So Northeast State, top to bottom, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, I think could be as competitive as any around, DC.
Yeah, I think East Noble comes in as a favorite still. I mean, you still got Marcellus, who didn't they lose him in the state game?
He did. He went down in the state game. Justin Marcellus got an injury, but he's back.
1,000-yard rusher.
Yep, he's back.
He's back. I think the teams to watch, though, I got Leo and Columbia City as my team. 2 teams. Greg Bolt, obviously, with Columbia City. That's what I'm going to be watching, the quarterback position.
Yep.
And you also got Barber.
Jackson Barber, you got to watch him. Yeah.
And I've been picking them the last couple of years. I think this may be my chance. I'm going to go one more time. That's my number 1 team.
I like it. Leo at some points in the season last year had 8 sophomores.
Go Southern, the Leo Lions. Let's go.
8 sophomores on defense. On the field at any one time. I mean, it was a very young defense, and it held East Noble to just 14 points in the sectional championship game a year ago. So Leo grows up. They lose Peyton Wall, who is a do-everything type guy for them, but a lot coming back for Leo. Landon Livingston in that front line is just big and strong and tough and will be able to compete with East Noble in the trenches. So I would put East Noble and Leo maybe a cut above everybody else in the Northeast State, but there's a lot of contending teams in that conference for sure. One of those teams, Columbia City. They take on Cherubusco tomorrow under the lights at the new Columbia City High School just outside Columbia City. We're going to talk to Columbia City coach Brett Fox all about that and more when we come back. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.7 FM.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan at 100.9 FM.
And in a big shock, DC, they let us come back after the break. Must have been a hell of a good segment.
Yeah, you're still adjusting to our change as well.
I was so focused on saying 1380 The Fan going into the break that I had written down 100.7 instead of 100.9 FM. So my bad. I got the important part right and then screwed up the FM part. Whatever.
It's all good.
It's okay. It's week one. Hopefully we got many more weeks of Coach's Show coming up. But we'll take them, I guess, a week at a time, almost a day at a time at this point. But week one tomorrow night, action-packed all throughout the state of Indiana. The game that ESPN, I did it, 1380 The Fan will be at tomorrow is out at Columbia City. We'll be Cherubusco, Columbia City. This is really going down there. What time is it? 6:18? I got another 42 minutes to fill. This is rough, DC. But, the biggest game coming up tomorrow night in the area, in our opinion, Cherubusco and Columbia City. And you can hear that beginning at 7 o'clock on 1380. The Fan. Head coach of the Columbia City Eagles is Brett Fox. Joins us right now. Brett, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It sounds like I'm doing a lot better than you are on the air right now.
Yeah, it's a struggle, dude. It's, I guess, shake off the rust, man.
That's right.
Or maybe I just have no talent. That's a definite possibility.
Well, hey, you said it, not me.
But you will agree to it for sure. But, hey, man, it's week one. We get to play some football tomorrow, and none of us really knew if we'd get to this point. But the excitement is palpable at this point. We're going to play some meaningful football tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm really excited and just pumped. It really takes me back to I wrote personal letters to a lot of my guys back in April and mailed them to them. And I said, guys, we are still preparing because we will be back together. We will be playing, and just be faithful in that. And it's awesome to see that happening right now.
Coach, let's look at your squad and what you have returning. I know there's a lot of excitement with Greg Bolt at quarterback. I think the key offensively could be that offensive line that returns a lot of experience as well. So you have to feel good about that side of the football.
Yeah, we return a lot on the offense, and we honestly return a lot on defense. But the offense has got us excited because some of those offensive linemen that they got some good experience and went through a lot of growing pains as sophomores last year on the offensive line. Have worked hard and kind of just developed their own mentality. We call them big fat hog mollies, and they're getting after it, and we absolutely love it. And I think they're going to open up some holes for Abe Barrera, running back.
Yeah, Abe, a guy who didn't start for you till week 6 and ended up being your leading rusher a season ago. What kind of attributes does he bring to that offensive backfield?
He's just a slippery guy. I mean, he gets through there, and he's got breakaway speed, and he's got some killer cuts, and his hips constantly move. And so it's hard to tell where he's going or what he's planning. I half the time don't even know where the heck he's going, and don't see the field like he does. And it's fun to watch him in practice, and I think it's going to be fun to watch him this season.
You bring back your leading rusher. You also bring back one of your leading receivers from a year ago in TJ Bedwell, a kid who's phenomenal on both sides of the football.
Yeah, TJ is a great kid. He's learning how to be a leader and stepping up and challenging in that. And it's fun to watch that. And like you said, he's one of our leading receivers. He had 36 receptions last year, and I think he's looking to take a bigger role this year with that. And just setting the tone on both sides of the ball. Being a all-conference player on defense to go along with what he does on the offensive side. He's just a great player for us.
We mentioned Greg Bolt and has been a starter since he was a freshman, now a junior. Next step in his development, what do you want to see out of him this year? What is he capable of accomplishing?
Well, I think I just want to see him just take control on the field, and what I mean by that is he can no longer make those sophomore mistakes, and really those freshman mistakes, and got to take less sacks. I think several times he's taken sacks, and he's got to get rid of the football, and I think part of that is just knowing where to attack and what to do with it, and just being more comfortable within the offense.
Coach Brett Fox, Columbia City Eagles, joining us on the line here on the High School Coaches Show. And Coach, it may not be a packed house tomorrow, but you will have some fans in attendance at the new stadium, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we're allowing, Cherubusco will have 150 on their side. We allowed each one of our varsity players to have 4 tickets. Each one of our cheerleading varsity cheerleaders 4 tickets, and each one of our band members 4 tickets. And then our AD, I thought, made a wonderful choice. Sorry to our community members, but I thought he made a wonderful choice in supplying the rest of the tickets in a lottery to our student body. We felt like athletics and the high school level is a high school experience, and an experience for those kids that are in high school, and we wanted to give that to the fans. And the friends and fellow students to make a large student section for us, and just be crazy. So I know they were excited, seeing us. This is our first day in school today, and seeing them come down to Mr. Leach's office to buy those tickets, and I was making sure that they understood what it meant to get a ticket and what was expected of them in the crowd tomorrow night.
Yeah, day one at the new campus. How did it go today?
Oh my gosh, it was smooth. The place is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a blessing. It's if you haven't had a chance as a member of the nearby community, Fort Wayne or anywhere else, to come by and see what we have, it's just gorgeous. I didn't really get a chance to go through a lot of the academic wings over the last couple of weeks with me teaching PE, but I was up there today going down our main staircase, and it overlooks our football field. And so I just pulled a chair over there and just sat, and I'm just in disbelief of where we're at. It's an amazing blessing from our community, and we're very thankful for it.
Coach, when you look at what New Digs can do for a program, when you look at your new stadium and new locker room and all that stuff, I mean, what kind of boost does that give a program?
I think it gives us a huge boost. I think it gives us, something to be prideful in. Not that it's surprising. Columbia City is an interesting place. We're very prideful of the old school, and there's some, just because a lot of people have gone through there and been a part of there, but I think this new school, I think the kids just really loved it, and they love it, and you're seeing it within our program. 9th through 12th grade, we have 99 kids out. And so, having 99 kids out when I first started, this program, and, 9 through 12, we had, barely 50 kids. I think it speaks a lot to what we're doing as a program and what we're doing as a school too, and building facilities that the kids can be proud in, and that we can, just enjoy.
Coach, you play a team tomorrow in Cherubusco that's barely 20 minutes away, yet it's not it is a definite rarity to play, and I think it may very well be the first Cherubusco at Columbia City game ever. I know some iterations of the high schools may have played back in the day, but why now? Why did it take so long?
Well, I was under the impression that they had never done that, and then reading some things recently, apparently some before Columbia City was all together in what they call Columbia City Joint High School back in 1903, which would have been our first year of football, I believe, here at Columbia City. Apparently we played Cherubusco and ended in a fist fight. So, I mean, I think that kind of describes, they didn't even finish the game. It just ended in a fist fight, and it's something that's kind of crazy with that, and you kind of look at that and you can kind of say, well, hey, this is probably why they haven't played. And just kind of why now. I mean, we had played Warsaw and Whitco week 1 and week 2 traditionally for a while, and we lost Whitco because of them needing to play a team from the other side of the conference, and the conference they're at, and Warsaw didn't want to play us anymore. And so you lose a huge gate in Whitco because it's a county school, and so we reached out to Paul, and at the same time, it's weird, the same time we're reaching out to Paul, seeing if he's interested, Prairie Heights had contacted Whitco already and asked them to play week 1. And Whitco had kind of agreed to that. And so it kind of just set up perfect. And we thought it was a perfect storm to, hey, let's go ahead and open up our new stadium, play in Cherubusco. And, under the impression that, man, this is going to be a huge game, a huge gate. I know we already mentioned the fans we have. I totally expect to have more people outside the gates staring at this than what we're going to have inside the gates, because everybody's going to want to have a piece of this and want to see it. And no, I can't get you a ticket. And despite everybody, the amount of emails I've gotten this week is ridiculous. I didn't know everybody had access to my email address.
Coach, when you look at playing Cherubusco, and they lose guys like Sam Wood and Jake Falk and Gage Kelly, but when you play Busco, you're really coaching and playing against the scheme, not necessarily personnel. So what do we know about Cherubusco, despite some new faces in new places for them, and what you guys need to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, these kids at Cherubusco have been running this stuff since they were in, 4th grade. I mean, it's something similar to what I grew up with at Eastbrook, and they do it very well. And so for them, it's not a question of rebuilding. Instead, it's a question of, this is how we're going to reload. And they have a lot of talent, they're young talent, and they're going to be good for several years. Their nose and guard, Hunter Byansky, being an all-state player. I mean, how many people can say that, they can say all they want, hey, we're rebuilding, it's going to be a down year. They can write an article in our local paper about how young they are. But when you're bringing back an all-state, junior to be defensive lineman, I don't think you're necessarily rebuilding. So, we've been letting our players know that and making sure that they're focused and that they're ready to go, because, they offer a ton of athleticism and a lot of, they're just aggressive. They're in your face aggressive, with everything that they do.
As exciting of an atmosphere as we'll have anywhere around coming up tomorrow night at the new Columbia City High School Digs.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out, and thank you so much for having me on. And hey, you got probably about 30 minutes left. You can do it.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the pep talk.
All right, take care.
That was Coach Brett Fox, Columbia City Eagles, trying to give me some moral support as we try to make it through the Week 1 edition of the High School Coaches Show here in 2020. We're going to take a break, come back. Coach Jason Garrett, Bishop Dwenger Saints, will join us. His team takes on the Wayne Generals tomorrow night at Shields Field. We'll talk all about that and more. Grant Moser, South Adams, also coming before the top of the hour. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the High School Coaches Show right here on 1380 The Fan, here till 7 o'clock, talking Week 1 of the Indiana High School football season. And, DC, we're going to play a game this year where the first coach that we cannot get a hold of for an interview will face repercussions. We'll say that. It was almost Jason Garrett, but he called us back, saved it, and he joins us on the line right now. Coach Garrett, how are you?
I apologize, guys.
You're all right. You got more important things to deal with, getting your football team ready to play a football game. So,
yeah, right.
Coach, when you look back and you go 11-2 a year ago and your winning percentage drops, I would say you've had a pretty good start through your first 2 seasons at Bishop Dwenger as head coach. But take us through last year. You'll fall short against Valpo late in the postseason, but another really, really successful year for the Saints.
Yeah, first and foremost, myself and the coaching staff take absolutely no credit. We're blessed with great kids. We try not to mess it up. Let's just get that first out there. Last year, coming off the state championship and another great group of kids, going into the 5A, that was uncharted territory, and found ourselves with an opportunity there at the end. We look back at the SAC, close game with Homestead, went down to the end, and then get in the Valpo game. And, as every coach would tell you, you never make injuries and other things excuses. We had a lot of guys banged up. It was a rough road, and, we still had a chance there at the end and fell shy, and it was a great Valpo team. We tipped our hat to them for sure. And, we're already talking about, lessons learned from last season and how to make another run for sure.
Coach, we spoke yesterday at length about a couple things, and something that stood out to me, and you talk about so many kids that are putting in work in the off season and how guys come in and they buy into the Dwenger way, and it's just that Dwenger culture. And we hear so many coaches when they take over programs, we got to build the culture, we got to build the culture. It's already there, at Bishop Dwenger. It's some of the toughest things that coaches in different places have to do in terms of their goals for a program, yet it's there at Bishop Dwenger. How big is that for you?
Oh, it's huge. And, I think as we talked last night, my biggest challenge is to not mess it up, and I mean that with all my heart. We got great kids. The culture is as it is. We got, a lot of the players, their dads played at Dwenger. There's a great alumni support. The traditions of just how you go about the game, who you are as a Dwenger football player. And, as a coaching staff, like I said, we're just trying to make sure we uphold all of that and not get in the way of it. And it's a great blessing. There's a lot of guys that could, be coaching at Bishop Dwenger and have great records and really have nothing to do with any of the success, because you just got great kids. They want to play football. They've been dreaming of it for years. And so it's just another year where we feel like we've reloaded, and another great round of kids, another great senior leadership group, and we're looking forward to it.
Coach, on the eve of kicking off the season, do you feel, despite everything that's gone on, abbreviated spring and hardly any summer, do you feel prepared going into tomorrow night, or are there still just a myriad of things going through your head?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know that you ever feel totally prepared. I think in terms of an area where I think we're behind, if there's an area in particular, would be just, knowing where our depth chart is, where some of those younger guys are, where, sometimes when you're working through things in June, and through the late spring, you start getting an idea where guys are going to be and what position is going to be best suited for them. And, I don't know that we're behind, but it's certainly an area that, we're trying to develop quickly here. We know we got a junior varsity game on Monday, and so, those are the younger guys, and I guess that's an area, as a coach and for our coaching staff, it's just vital that you have development. You want those guys to feel a part of it. You want to keep them involved. You want to give them opportunities in games when you're able, and so that's just an area. Other than that, I feel like we're caught up in terms of football conditioning. I feel like the guys are, in some ways, you could almost argue they're more hungry than they've ever been because of the uncertainty that we've all been through and the, things that they've kind of lost in terms of their locker room and, hanging out in the building and doing video meetings and, huddle meetings and other things. So, I just think it's that depth chart, and being secure and all that. But otherwise, I feel really good with where we are. Our guys worked their tails off when we weren't able to be together, and very proud of them.
Coach Jason Garrett, Bishop Dwenger Saints, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And, Coach, we talked a little bit about Brendan Lytle last night, a 2,000-yard passing season last year. He made some big plays for you as a sophomore in that state championship run. The trio of Tipmans in that backfield, three of probably 24 on the roster, Devin, Louie, and KJ, would be big for you. But that offense, you mentioned last night, maybe have some added looks here and there, two new coordinators, offensive and defensive. But give us a little taste on Bishop Dwenger in terms of offensive with such an experienced guy back there at quarterback and some weapons for you.
Oh, you can't say enough about returning a 2-year starter as a senior. You're going into his third year, and having been to every game he could possibly play with the exception of one. I mean, that says a lot, and so. He was named as a team captain. That tells you a lot. He's just taking command of the huddle in a much greater way this season, realizing it's his senior year and realizing the role that he needs to play now and even more of a leadership role. So, bringing in the new offense, Coach Dixon and the staff, can't say enough about what they're bringing to the table. I just think it builds upon, the power running game. I think we're much better in our play action passing. We've got some options, screens. We can spread it out. We can load it. We can go heavy. There's just a lot of variables, and we can utilize a lot of different personnel, which we like to do in developing kids. And knowing that if you're blessed to go on a deep run, you're going to have guys that are going to get banged up, and you got to have depth. So. I feel like we've got a lot of diversity on offense. I feel like our guys have embraced the new offense. They picked it up really quickly. Coach Dixon did a great job keeping it simple, and so it's exciting. I mean, it's going to look very similar. I mean, it's Bishop Dwenger offense. We want to run the ball, but when things start loading up in the box, I think we've got some other options that we may not have had in the past, and so looking forward to seeing how it all rolls out.
Coach, if there was a single coach that I would not want to play with zero film to study, it would be Sherwood Haydock tomorrow night. You take on the Wayne Generals, and who knows what he's going to throw at you. But what to prepare for? What do you expect tomorrow night?
Well, we expect anything and everything. I'll put it on. So yeah, we've prepared what we anticipate, and we also know that. We may have to roll the plan B, and then Coach Dixon and Coach Knepper and I, have talked. We may be at plan C, D, or E by the end of the first quarter. We'll see. When you go into a situation, I think anytime, it's first, second game of the season, there's always those things that, it's going to take you a little while to kind of pick up on and make your adjustments. I think we've been always able to do that. But yeah, being prepared. So, we've got alternate plans ready to go, and we're expecting anything and everything, and I'm looking forward to coaching with him. I've never personally met him, so I've heard great things about him, and I'm looking forward to meeting him tomorrow night, and we'll see. It should be a great game.
Coach, a year ago, the first game at Shields Field had 1,000 in attendance. Tomorrow night, there'll be nobody. How will it be different, and how do you approach the unique circumstances that we'll have at least through the first 2 weeks in Fort Wayne?
Well, thanks be to God, we had our scrimmage there Saturday because it took away a lot of that awkwardness. I'll be honest. For us as coaches, we're excited. We still get the goosebumps, and we still get the Friday night jitters, and that's part of the reason why we do it. That little 17, 18-year-old comes back out, but you hurt for the kids, and we kind of went through that Saturday. To kind of have the awkwardness and the eerie silence, when you're trying to get your troops ready for a special team or something. You don't have to yell quite as loud, and everybody's right there, and I think that helped a lot to be at home Saturday with our scrimmage, and obviously it's going to be unique tomorrow night as well. So the guys are as prepared for the opportunity, and at the end of the day, it's football, and when things start rolling, hopefully they'll be united, and they're going to have a lot of fun out there, and get home and get with family and friends and enjoy talking about how the game went.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks for putting up with back-to-back days of myself on the other line. I'll cut you some slack and leave you alone tomorrow so you can focus on the Generals.
Yeah, just that excuse tardy. I'll take an excuse tardy tonight. Thanks, guys. Always great to be with you.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, sir. Yep, take care.
That was Coach Jason Garrett, Bishop Dwenger. Saints joining us. His team will host the Wayne Generals tomorrow night, 7 o'clock kickoff at Shields Field. Once again, no fans allowed in the SAC through the first 2 weeks. Hopefully, we will have some parents and guardians allowed in weeks 3 and 4. At this point, the prospects are to maybe have a quote-unquote normal football game with the crowd in attendance in week 5. So hopefully we get there, but the first 2 weeks especially will be a little awkward in the SAC. We're going to take a break, come back. Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, will help us wrap up this first week edition of the High School Coaches Show in 2020 here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back for the final time here on the Week 1 edition of the High School Coaches Show. And let's just talk about DC Hendricks. I mean, I'm hearing him on the commercials now. He's all over the place. He's killing it. So, DC, keep doing what you do. He's here in the studio producing here for the first show of the year. Hopefully he comes back for week 2. What do you think, DC? Will you be back?
As long as you can say 1380 The Fan as our new tagline.
Boy, did it once.
100.9 FM.
Yes. Well, 100.7 FM is the one I said
that's what you said
on accident. You can turn it to 100.7, but you probably won't hear anything. But, I got the rust off, shook the rust off, and now I'm ready. So, Teams are out throughout the area tomorrow night. We'll be shaking the rust off for week 1 of the high school football season. A team that's eager to get back on the football field are the South Adams Starfires after how the season ended a year ago. Head coach of the Starfires is Grant Moser. He's on the phone with us right now. Coach, what's happening?
How you doing, Mr. Kinney? Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure, sir. And how have things looked out in Berne, Indiana?
Well, everything's always beautiful in Berne, Indiana, Kenny. It's always a perfect sunset and everything else. Everything is always perfect. But like you kind of said there, we've been eager for about 8 months now since November. We've had a bad taste in our mouth. Going 12-0 last year, winning those 12 games by about an average of 30 points, and then getting knocked off in the regional by our rivals. So I've had a bad taste. Our coaching staff, definitely our seniors, and our entire program. So we've been very eager to get to week 1 here, and we're jacked that it's finally here.
You know, a funny side story on that was after that game, you know, we have a little group text going with you, me, and Dan Vance and Fox and Kunks. And yeah. I didn't want to be the first person to say anything in that group chat. I was going to wait. I didn't know how Grant Moser. I waited for Kunkel to say something. I don't know if it was a day or 2 days or whatever, but I was like, I'm not going to be the first one that messaged. It wouldn't even be about football or anything. I just was not going to be the first one.
That was a long bus ride home from Monroe, I'll tell you what. But it was, again, hopefully a learning experience for us. I've never seen our kids driven so much. And I think it's hard to say this, but I really do believe that's a good thing right now. These kids needed that. Coming into this year, these incoming seniors needed. And now going forward with that, we know that we can beat at any time. That's good for us. It's good for our mentality to know that anything can beat us if we're not prepared and we're overconfident at all. We'll get knocked off.
And, Coach, I think something that helped you, too, was the scrimmage last week. Talk a little bit about scheduling Eastbrook, who is one of the perennial powers in 2A in Central Indiana.
Sure. Eastbrook's kind of the program where we want to be. They've been to state in 2A 3 of the last 4 years. They beat us in regional in 2016 in 2A. So we're normally scrimmage Blackford. They had some low numbers this year, so I talked to their coach a little bit and said, hey, Eastbrook was open and Union City was open, and said, hey, how do you feel about maybe you guys going to play Union City and we'll go play Eastbrook? And he was fine with that, and Coach Adams Eastbrook was fine with that. So, I mean, a great opportunity for us to get to play, like you said, one of the great programs in the area and about the state. So it was good for our confidence coming off that. We still have some players that think we're pretty good, better than we are. So we got punched in the mouth a little bit. That was good for us. They have an incredible defense. Coach Adams said this is probably the best defense they've had, Eastbrook, in about a decade. They've been state 3 the last 4 years, so that was really good for our offense, having to work through some difficult situations again to get through that and see how our leadership respond to some of those tough situations. So our goal all offseason has been to get these kids in tough situations where they see how they respond, who picks up, and who steps up, and who leads. So that was really good for us. Now we got a little beat up, which again we're fine, I think, now on Thursday. But that was a scrimmage that I thought we could really get a lot from, and I told the guys it's probably the best team you'll see all year.
Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And, you know, Coach, you guys lost some production to graduation, but bring back a lot. And you told me, you know, a week or so ago, hey, this offense could be better than it was a year ago. And it was an amazing and prolific offense last year. So dissect that statement down for us and what you see that could make this offense even better than a year ago.
Absolutely. Like you said, we had a prolific offense last year. They're fun to watch. They're fun to coach. They're fun to be around them. It all starts with James Arnold, 4-year starting quarterback, 43 touchdowns last year, 1A All-State quarterback. And then he brings back his top 6 targets this year with Trey Schock, Drew Stutzman, Braden Bixler, Nick Miller, All-State, Christian Somerset, and so those 6 guys are all back. And then James told me the other day, I think this is the best O-line he's had in his 4 years starting, with Carter Lewis back for his 3rd year, Brian Hernandez back for his 4th year. We have Jake Plattner moved there from fullback. We have Sam Plattner, his brother, playing center for us, and Braden Gilbert, the center on the basketball team. So James thinks it's the best O-line he's had. So we're excited about our offense. Now we can obviously, we saw Saturday, we can be stagnant at times if things aren't clicking. So hopefully that's going to be fixed tomorrow night. The question mark's more of our defense. Some of the linebackers, we lost Grady Sparner, probably one of the best linebackers we've had in a long time here. Our middle linebacker, we've moved Christian Somerset and Jake Plattner inside now. So they're both playing inside backers along with Dom Kahn, and they're doing a great job so far. Somerset being one of our captains. We do bring back, luckily, Nick Miller on the D-line and bring back Austin Gorney, both 4-year starters. They have some experience in our secondary with Stiffman and Bixler and Alex Gorney. So that's kind of the question mark, though, is our linebacker spot right now.
Coach, you open up the season tomorrow night at home against Winchester, a team that's traditionally pretty solid, had a couple down years last couple years, and then week 2 you travel to Lewis Cass and a late add to the schedule that will be a definite challenge for you, a two-way power in Central Indiana. So the first 2 weeks of the season, what do you need to see from your team?
Yeah, I'm very excited about that week 2 matchup. But again, like we've talked about, we know now that you can't look past anybody. So we've really spent a lot of time dissecting Winchester. I think they have a very good quarterback. They have a 3-year starter quarterback. He's a very good runner, and this is probably the best he's passed the ball in his career so far, too. He's only a junior. So I think they have some skill guys, honestly, some speed that can match up with us a little bit. I think we have a little bit better experience at the line position, but if we don't show up, they'll definitely hang with us in skill positions. And like I said, we got to stop that quarterback. And week 2, we're very excited about going to Cass, another traditional program, kind of similar to Eastbrook in 2A. With Belmont being out week 2, we got a chance to pick up and go to Cass. It's going to be an awesome experience for our kids to play a program and a coaching staff like the Mandarins down there at Cass.
Coach, always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for taking the time, and I only have 3 minutes here to make it through the end of the show without any further mistakes.
You'll get it. I believe in you, man. You'll get it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, as always.
All right, buddy. As Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, joining us, his team will open up the season tomorrow night against Winchester, 7 o'clock kickoff in Bern. And the South Adams Starfires and Adams Central Flying Jets, the last couple years, the ACAC has come down to those two teams. Expected once again to do that this year, a 6-team ACAC this year with Southern Wells bowing out of varsity football competition, at least for this season, with a lack of numbers. They will play a JV schedule, however, and try to bounce back and get back on the varsity field next year down there with the Raiders and Southern Wells. So when you look at the ACAC, Adams Central, South Adams are the teams to watch. Bluffton could be there as well if they can make a jump under Coach Brett Kunkel. Woodland looking to rebuild. Heritage looking to rebuild under Coach Kolkman. So a lot of question marks otherwise from the top 2 or 3 teams in that conference. That's going to do it for us. The first week of the football season. For DC Hendricks, I'm Justin Kenny. Thank you to Brett Fox from Columbia City, Jason Garrett from Bishop Dwenger, and Grant Moser from South Adams for joining us. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next Thursday. This has been the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Podcasts by Federated Media. Podcasts by Federated Media.